There's a bing, which apparently only I hear. Maybe it's only in my mind. That tells us that we're recording. Here we are. It's the kickoff meeting for the Ronin final project. There's a month involved that you are guys, July probably, and you guys have selected to do the Agile Ventures charity website option. You guys have been reviewing things. Do you want to? Do you have any immediate questions? I mean, as you probably realize, I have verbal diarrhea. I can just talk indefinitely. I can just talk. But maybe should we just start with, you know, you obviously heard me talk about this last week. You've got your own ideas. Can we just start with going around and what you're, and tell me what you're all imagining this is going to be? Starting with Winnie. Yeah, Winnie. What's your sense of this?
I imagine you probably want something that's similar to the other Agile Ventures site, except I was hearing that one of the issues that you were encountering was that it was becoming overly complicated, probably due in part because there were just so many contributors. And I think, I'm just wondering if you have like a preference for like whether you want to use like some kind of front-end framework or what your ideas on that are, like how do you like, if you want us to use a particular language, anything like that.
Sure.
And then earlier I was just going into the console just to kind of inspect the elements to see how you set it up in terms of the HTML and the CSS. But
right. Cool. Yeah, I'm just going to go here and try and find. I'm going to do what I do in my stand-ups. Oh, wrong button. Is just take notes on the things that you were saying there, and use that. For what's going on. So there, so we had like this, so we've got Winnie, yeah, so you're coming at it from the angle of existing sites too complex, wondering about front-end framework, and so on. Yes. And should we go around and just, I mean, maybe everybody else thinks the same thing.
I guess before you kind of continue, I'm just wondering if you wanted to maybe like mention some of the other issues that you guys have had with the Agile Ventures site so that we could maybe avoid doing the same things, and maybe if you have any suggestions on how we should go about making it better.
Sure, yeah. Well, I mean, maybe then diving in there, I just want to check in that we're, like, there are some even higher level things than that. Or I mean, either, like, if I go on to Richard, is that, that's your understanding, where you're coming from? Are there any particular questions on your mind?
I actually, and sorry, and this is obviously we should have spoke as a group beforehand, but obviously we were all researching things, and knowing that you're having the Agile Ventures website rebuilt on one of the other final challenges, I believe, aren't you?
Yes. I mean, this is. There's, I mean, there were two things that were presented related to Agile Ventures.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But I think I was just looking at the list of the other groups, and I didn't see that as one of the projects. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but that may just not have been selected. But
yeah.
But
knowing you were looking to have that rebuilt, this isn't so much an issue for me. I wasn't really so concerned about your actual website as such and blending in with that website because I know you're looking to have it rebuilt anyway. So it would be interesting to know what issues you have with the original one, so we don't copy across again. But I'm not looking. It wasn't like a big issue for me blending in with that one for that reason.
Sure.
Really, yeah. It's like, as Winnie just said at the end, really more hearing what you'd like. I think we have a bit of a blank canvas as such.
Indeed.
I love the Free Code Camp website. It's simple. It's easy to navigate. It does what it says on the tin, and I think you need something like that with basically a couple of links.
Yeah.
The charities, and that's it. Not tons of pages. Yeah. So simplicity.
Sure. Simplicity, absolutely very important.
Easy to use.
Yeah. Parminder, anything to add? Any questions that are particularly on your mind?
Um, we just learned that this was the chosen project an
Right.
hour ago, and um, hi, hello, can you
Hello.
hear me?
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
hear you. Yes,
okay,
yes.
okay. And I think I'm just trying to absorb as much information about Agile Ventures right now,
Okay.
um, just to understand what the site is about. It's good that you gave us an example, like a free code camp as
Yes.
well, the alternative, which I think is probably what you're leaning towards, kind of.
Hmm.
Um, I got a generally good idea, I think, of what you may want, but it really requires yourself
Sure.
to explain it and maybe present the user stories and
Sure.
whatnot. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Cool. Josh, anything to add to any of that? Any of your own particular thoughts?
Um, my main thought was, I know, going back to yet again the fact that you already have a website up and running.
Hmm.
The question was would this be something to be integrated into that website, or would it be sort
Right.
of its own little spin-off website?
Right.
Just so we know, because
Mhm.
if we were wanting to integrate it into another website, we'd we'd need to know like what it's built on and all that, so that
Right.
we can build it so it can be integrated.
Yeah.
As opposed to just having complete freedom to do whatever we want if it was a kind of spin-off website,
Yes.
where
Yes.
like a sister website.
Yes.
I can hear the wizard.
Indeed. Okay, excellent. And Balance, any other particular questions on your mind, or you want to reinforce any of the questions that the others have mentioned?
All my questions are answered, so at this moment I have
No additional questions at the moment. Okay,
No.
great. Okay, yes. So now that's very interesting to hear what you were all talking about there, and I'm confusing myself with multiple screens. What I will say is that yes, there were two projects that were proposed. So one of those projects is, like revamping the existing site. Yeah. And it's really targeted at, for developers. Yeah. So
Hello.
see my screen fine.
Okay.
This site is really designed for people who are existing developers. Right? They have some coding skills. They are, interested in getting involved in Agile Ventures projects. And so, the core functionality from my point of view is that you can see what the projects are, you can find out what's going on in those projects, and that you can connect with other developers to make progress in those projects. So, and there's lots of different bits and pieces that try and support that and so on, whatever. But that's the key. The key stakeholder for the existing site is for developers. Yeah. The other project is about creating a brand new website. So it's creating a charity showcase / directory, and this is for non-profits, charities. I don't know if we still got a wonderful word that summarizes the two of them. And I'm just going to get backwards and forwards between different places like this. So there were two different things that were proposed last week, and so these are both things that I think are important to happen. I was under the impression that you guys, I mean, of course, you don't vote directly for the things, you vote for things, and that it was this one that you guys were more interested in. But basically, it's kind of up to you. Which, I mean, I'm the client effectively for both of these things. So if you wanted to write a new version of the site that was specifically for developers, then that would be great. I could be the client for that. This one, which would be, so the key difference was that this one is like a rebuild, and this is a greenfield. Yeah. So my concept for this is that this is a brand new site, and the interesting thing to note, linking that to the Free Code Camp, is that now Free Code Camp, what they've got is they've got both stakeholders trying to be supported within a single site, right? And I think they do it quite well, which is that they say, right, okay, this is for the developers, and this is for the non-profits. Yeah, and there's sort of two ways in. They're the same branding all round, but they have, going in, you have two different sets of things going on. Now, we could be taking our existing site and trying to stick a charity showcase in there, but for the reasons that, as discussed, that this is already big and complex and so on, it seems to me that a separate, if we're going to do the charity showcase thing, then I think we really want to do a complete. I think the sensible way forward is a site. Although again, like with me as the client, I can say I want this, I want that. Ultimately, it's up to you to kind of like interrogate me and then to make your own decision. Oh, we want to build on top of the existing thing. We want to build, a site that can integrate with one of these, or we want to do a completely thing. I guess the first thing to focus on is like, do you guys want to be thinking and working with a system where the stakeholder is the non-profit people, or where the stakeholder is the developers? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I do think the second one is personally the more interesting in the two from my point of view, and also I do think it needs to be separate, because I just think, with with the greatest respect in the world, the existing site is very complicated.
Yes.
And if I was a charity looking for work, I'd be lost straight away.
Absolutely.
Even if there was a link somewhere or whatever. And I think it's possible that if we created a charity showcase directory site, a separate one, you might be able to then eventually incorporate Agile Ventures on the back end of that one.
Yeah.
The other way around.
Or they would just link to each other and they would be.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But because obviously Agile Ventures doesn't really needs the charities to come in to be able to give work to the developers.
I mean, it sort of needs the charities, but it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to happen through the same site. We don't necessarily.
No. But I mean, you could you obviously use the database from the charities that put in from this website.
Yes. What we can create an API so that the two sites. This is the microservices model. We don't need to have them all working off the same backend database. We can have the charity thing and that exposing data that the other site uses. But that's a yeah. So I mean, Winnie, you were asking me like what were the existing problems? We want to avoid them. I think the things a lot with the existing sites, the stuff that I would talk about would be related to problems that the developers were having, trying to connect with each other, do this that, and the other, and they're not necessarily that relevant if this is the thing that you're all happy to focus on. Should we just stop there? Because this I think this high level decision determines. Richard's saying this makes sense. What do other people think?
I would agree. I think I'd rather start with a blank slate.
Yeah. I sort of thought that you might. Yes. Is there anybody who feels strongly that that they want to do this kind?
I'm with Richard as well, but I'm curious as to what technologies were used for the number one.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then that's quickly answered, which is it's Rails, and then there's like a whole series of different gems, and that's about the size of it really. We can look through the gem file for that to see all the different bits and pieces. I mean, there's also there are other things like there's a Hangout plugin which goes in the Hangout, and the Hangout plugin talks to the website, and the website talks to Slack, and there's actually a lot of different bits and pieces. We can sort of talk about that, partly for when we get into coordinating how we're going to work together. We can be using Agile Ventures, like the existing site, to help coordinate us. I mean, in principle, you could still also start with a blank slate for doing this, initial thing of revamping the existing site. But then it would be the case, absolutely, Winnie, that we'd want to get into one of those existing problems. But I think, if we're focused on the charities, then the question is, the most important thing in some ways ultimately is going to be trying to build a site with them in mind, and then actually having they're the end users, and so doing tests with them and seeing if the site is easy for them to navigate, if it's delivering on the values and the things that they want, if that makes sense. Josh and Balint, have you got differing opinions? You're happy to go along with the idea of doing a greenfield for a charity showcase / directory?
I probably should have mentioned it. I originally thought it was the charities one, so I was meaning, are we integrating charities into the existing or spinning it off?
Yeah. Well, and I would. Yeah. So the answer is, I think it's probably much simpler to just do a completely fresh build. If at some point we want to have some integration between the two, that's a separate project, and I think you guys don't have to worry about that for this 2 weeks. So you guys just focus on your own thing, standalone, and that makes it a little bit simpler, right?
Yeah, so I'm great with it all. Yeah.
Cool. So yes. So I think that's we've now answered kind of all the questions. We're basically going with complete freedom for a sister website. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining like ultimately it could be, you know, something like, it could be like showcase.agileventures.org. I don't know, or it could be, you know, its own, you know, that could be an underscore. Who cares? I mean, that's all separate stuff that we can deal with later on. The I guess more importantly is it going from this. The next step, as I think we alluded to, was going to like user stories. We know who the the key stakeholders are, right? But so now we need to work out, you know, some user stories. I mean, do you guys have a particular development methodology, like you know, the Thoughtbot people have this sort of design sprint thing? Have you read about this? I'll just put this in your.
Yeah, we just read through it. Well, I've just read through it earlier this morning.
Yeah.
It's just posted to us in Slack.
Yeah. So I mean, at the high level, I think there's this idea of just that we can have a bit of discussion, and then we go into a kind of diverge phase where we just throw out as many ideas as possible, and then we go into a converge phase where we try and bring them all back together. I guess we could also talk about some of the logistics of us being able to meet and talk and so on. I guess I will just start. I'll just show you some things that we have. I thought I just created here. Let me just reload this page. The project list.
Sam,
Yes.
before you go any further, I've been reading about Agile Ventures, and you know, before you came.
Yes.
Just want to know. You can probably give us some examples here, I guess, but just like how is the site sustained, maintained? You know, is there money being exchanged between charities, or is it completely voluntary help? How does that work?
Well, there is occasionally money exchanged. The Agile Ventures site itself at the moment has not received, apart from receiving, what's the word, like discounts from Heroku and other things because we're a non-profit. No charities are currently paying any money to Agile Ventures. Charities are, in some cases, paying money to developers, but that money goes straight to the developers. I mean, it's sort of maybe coordinate. You know, they're Agile Ventures projects, but Agile Ventures is not taking any money there. And I mean, you know, basically, there's a cloud of people who are, you know, there potentially to maintain the site. Realistically, though, this site as it stands, which is also called codename Website 1, is not really under active development at the moment. And I think that's partly because, you know, it's really quite complicated at the moment to get set up with it. It's got so many different features in it. There's lots of things that can go wrong. It's difficult to get your build passing in the first instance. The big coordination is through Slack. So you should all have received invites. They've probably gone into your Gmail promotions folder or what have you. But you should all have invites for Slack. So you guys all came in and you signed up through Agile Ventures, and that's supposed to generate an automatic invite to the Agile Ventures Slack. So you can see here, I mean, I have like, this is the Maker Student Slack, where I was just chatting to you guys, and then this is the Agile Ventures one. And so we have, you know, each project has a room, you know, that you can chat and talk about. And so a few weeks back, as we were discussing the possibilities for this, you know, charity showcase thing, we have, you know, the Website 2 room, and there's been some chat going on there. Sanjay here, you might know, I think is also interested. I should have asked him to actually get involved in this. Anyway, he can watch the recording later. But yeah, so, and there's also kind of like this Website 2 site that, you know, we've started with a little bit, whether we're using the wikis or the issues to just talk about what might happen. So, you know, you guys are, you know, I'd certainly encourage you to make use of this thing, because you'll have the cloud of all of the other Agile Ventures developers out there, potentially to give you help and support and advice and chat about it and so on. Yeah, did that answer? I'm not sure who asked the question. Was it Josh who asked the question? I don't know, maybe it was Richard or Ballant. But yeah, does that answer the question? I guess the question was about, like, how does it all work?
No, it was myself, Parminder.
Oh, hey, Parminder. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, no. That answers it, I would say. I was just curious, just how the how it all worked with the interaction between the
Yeah.
client and the developers. And you mentioned that developers do get paid by charities. I guess that
On
those
occasion.
terms I agree like differently.
Yeah, I mean that's up to the individual charity. I mean, what will often happen is the charity, will start working with a group of developers, and they're doing it on a voluntary basis. And then if the charity gets a grant in, and they have some money, and there's a particular feature that they want, and they'd like it done, faster, they say, oh, we could pay you for this, and we could get that done, because otherwise it's all being done on a voluntary basis, and it's all, it'll get done as and when, kind of thing, if you know what I mean. So that's always an option for the charity if they want to try and speed the process up or make progress in a particular direction. Yeah, and so you can kind of see, like all the different rooms in here, and yeah, it all works out. And usually the charity, the actual clients of the charities are not in here, and that's like they have separate. Well, they are sometimes, I guess. I mean, it's on a project by project basis. I guess the thing I was going to say was, I mean, the background to this is that there was this massively open online class on software engineering that still runs occasionally, and tens of thousands of students are all learning Ruby on Rails online, and alumni of that class, basically got together, and then lots of other people, and anyway. Yeah, so that's about the size of that. And the particular thing about where I'm coming from for this site is that we've now had a number of Agile Ventures projects that have been quite successful, but we don't really have a good place where you can kind of go and see what those successes were. I also, when and maybe the critical thing will be to like focus down onto the just a single, because the more objectives you have, the more stuff that you try and do, the more complex it gets. But in my mind, what it is that we need a showcase of the Agile Ventures projects, for non-technical people, to kind of say, look, this is just to make the whole value proposition of it clear, right? It's like, I think for me, embedded in it, I know all about Agile Ventures. For people outside, it's like, what is that crazy thing? Or it's not. It's not so obvious to many people. So I question me. I mean, I think that if you had a simple design site that just said, we put developers together with in small teams with charities and build great things like this, and there was like a list of them, that would be like easier to understand than this site currently is, right? And then the other one is, and maybe this is shoehorning too many things in, and for you guys, it would totally be, good for you to choose to focus on one or other, or see how you go. But directory listing of charities looking for help is that we currently have kind of a Google form. Do we have that? Where do we have it? Drive. The way that charities kind of get involved in pitch at the Charity Jamboree and Makers Academy. Oh no, it's not. It's the. It is in this one, isn't it? Let's do this. Is charity. Charity. There we go. Basically, we have this form. So apart from word of mouth, I mean, even if we have word of mouth, we still send them this form, and this form sort of like presents the value proposition to the charities. If I can find, is that the? I want to view the live form. Come here, live form. There you go. Right. And I'm trying to paste this into. We need to get you guys all in the Agile Venture Slack. But anyway, so at the moment, they're coming in through this very non-branded, rather dull and boring process. When I was thinking of a showcase, I was thinking, well, what about that site, including that process, that's as well as having this showcase functionality. It's like, okay, so you've seen the showcase of great, cool projects, like you're a charity and you're also looking for help. Okay, why don't you sign up to be considered, for Agile Ventures? And so, they kind of go nicely together, I think, into a sister site. I don't know. What do you think about those two overall goals?
I think that's spot on. I think that's exactly perfect. Like I mentioned with the other one, the FCC site, it's just simple. I think any charity coming to the other one would probably be put off by the complexity of it and not bother signing up. And like you say, the form's very, very simple, and Google, you've got to find it, and if it was in a proper professional-looking website, I think you're more likely to get charities signing up that are looking for help.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, the other thing that I'm also looking to is long-term sustainability, in that Agile Ventures has been running for a couple of years, and we've done amazingly well off the back of lots of people's charitable contributions in terms of their time as developers. But it takes a certain amount of effort to run it, and I feel that what I'm also looking at is that maybe there would be in the future, and this is not something you guys have to consider at all, but in the directory listing thing, that charities might pay some small fee, like £1 a month or $1 a month or something, to be listed, or to get a premium listing to bring themselves to the top of the list, and that small amount of money coming in would help to pay for hosting and maybe somebody to maintain the site and so on, and make sure that it stays up to date and so on. But that's kind of that's just sort of there in the back of my mind. But yeah, so I mean, I guess we could have now. Do you want to have 10 minutes? I mean, brainstorming ideas around these things, if people are comfortable with that overall direction. Yeah.
Yeah, we can go for it.
Yeah. So I mean, it could be discussion leading into brainstorming. And any thoughts from anybody? Any questions about how any of that might work? Things that we should do, could do, shouldn't do.
I think if those two starred things are supposed to be user stories, they're kind of large chunks at this point, so I'm not sure if you wanted us to maybe break it down into smaller pieces, or if you have more specific things that you wanted us to incorporate.
I mean, you're right. I mean, there are multiple user stories that could go into each of those, but this is like the high level objective of the site. I mean, I guess it's there's a very, very high level the top user story as the Agile Ventures co-founder. So that's I don't know if I want to write that, so that people can see the AV value proposition. And they were also I would like a showcase of successful projects. But yeah, I mean, it's almost sort of ridiculously high level. I mean, we could do a similar, one for this. I don't know how much that helps, but it needs to be broken down. But I mean, you guys could just take those two things and go off and break it down. We could try and break it down together. You guys, I mean, we could switch this over. At the moment, this is like a document here that I've got control of. We could stick this in a Google Doc, and then we could all be typing in it at the same time. I think I'm gonna just do that, particularly to make sure that you get access to it. But so if I go into here and I make a new doc, and we stick it in there, go and paste. Here we go, and then here we go. Well, they've changed the interface for this now. Okay, why have I got like a smaller interface? Editing, edit document directly. Okay, there we go. That's better. And then share it. And then this is called. We'll just go. I mean, there's kind of codename website 2 there. I guess in the background while I'm just doing this, I will say, so I run Agile Ventures stand-ups at like 8:30 a.m. and 3:45 p.m. every day, and you guys can always come online. I mean, this is Monday to Friday. You can always come and catch up with me at that time. We can also work out other times to have longer meetings, but I'm basically available a lot. And I assume that will meet with your approval. Okay, and so anyway, that's the Google Doc in the chat there. So you guys could all actually log in there and just start putting anything in that you wanted. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to sort of turn the meeting over to. I think you've got like a top level direction from me. I'm going to turn the meeting over to you guys And I mean, I need to break. I should break. I've probably got another 15 minutes that I can give you right now. But up to you guys. You take over now. In the direction that you would like.
Can I just ask which of those two main features would you want prioritizing first? Would you rather have a charity be able to list themselves, or for people to be able to view already completed projects?
I think the showcase is the sensible one to do first, because that has a value by itself. Yeah. I mean, what I would note is, so I mean, the projects that are kind of worth listing include the local, the local support one. So if I've just put for the showcase, I mean, I can fill out a list of the projects that would make sense to include. Yeah, I think that would be, it would make sense to start there. But yeah, other ones, yeah, Austria as well. I'll just keep doing that in the background.
So what's it? Make this Slack webhook URL. The family thing seems quite an investable thing. I don't think you really need that much either.
I also sort of imagine that, so for each of these projects, there is also sort of a charity non-profit that's associated with it. So, one can sort of start with a projects table, and then you end up with a, another table which is kind of, the charities, and then the sort of the listing thing kind of comes from that. And Parminder, yes, absolutely, that CodeCamp non-profits directory is very much an inspiration here. And what's interesting about what they've done there is that they have a list of these guys who have been helped, but you can't. It doesn't seem like you can. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. That you can click through. Oh, where's mouse gone? Mouse. I guess you can read more. Oh, you can. Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. And then you can get through and you can see the actual site itself.
I've also noticed on that site, if you go back,
yeah,
go right to the bottom.
Mm.
You click "My nonprofit needs help, coding help," and you click on that. You got the Google form there.
Right.
It's very similar to yours.
Yes, absolutely. So what I'd love to see is, I mean, and you can see that they've styled it a little bit here. Rather than the Google form, it would be, well, I mean, this is a great, first pass, right? But it would be, nice, I think. Yeah, I mean, I would be tempted ultimately to move away from the Google form and have it build it in so that, again, ultimately where nonprofits might be willing to, pay some money to put themselves up and down the listing. The interesting thing for Free CodeCamp is that they are committed to being completely free for nonprofits, and they say that they're going to make their money the same way that Makers Academy makes money by, people who get hired off the back of their thing. The people who hire them will pay money to Free CodeCamp. But the guy who runs Free CodeCamp is apparently independently wealthy, and I think, he's not doing it as a money-making operation. Much as I'd love to be independently wealthy, I'm not. I really love what Free CodeCamp has done, and I'm sort of hoping to take some of the best parts of their ideas and sort of, particularly revitalize Agile Ventures through the process, because I think we've managed to do particularly this one, for example, the OSRA project, which is build our system for helping Syrian orphans. It's really, it's a cloud of developers around the world coming together to build the system to try and help make things better. It's just it's just awesome. But we don't really have a, at the moment, any really way. We don't have a marketing person, we don't have a budget for anything. We don't have any way of saying that these great things are happening. Yeah, and there's a number of other, it's not just Free CodeCamp, there's some other ones, there's Catch a Fire, and there's a few people around the world doing this sort of thing. But I think, there's enough learning developers or people who want to skill up as developers and enough charities, I think we just all want to be raising our game here and just trying to, all come together to make the world a better place. That's a simple thing to ask, isn't it? Anyway. But as you can tell, if you give me a chance, I'll just go on talking indefinitely. You've got to stop that. you've got to like you've got to put me in my place. You've got to take control of this project and tell me what to do. I mean, not what to do. You've got to ultimately run this, and I'm there as a resource for you to find out. But ultimately, it's like this will, does it work for the real stakeholders, which are the charities? And so, yeah.
Sam, assume that the descriptions of those previous projects, the ones that you just listed as to showcase,
Yeah.
those will be provided to us, or will we be writing descriptions as well? And will you provide, like in Free Code Camp, it says like it mentions the amount of money that was saved. Do you want that to be shown?
I mean,
for the charity?
I think that would require going to the individual charities and work. I have no idea how to work that out. I'm certainly not. I would probably go simpler than the. I mean, for your guys' purposes, don't feel that you need to do any content work. I mean, if you're reviewing the Snow Angels and you want to rewrite the stuff and whatever, but in the first is just grab chunks of text. And I mean, I guess the key thing in some ways, if we come back to this, is if we're having this, is that ultimately the administrator would need to admin can create new entries in the showcase. Update the showcase. Add, change images, those sorts of things. But as I think Richard was saying, I mean, that I'd absolutely keep it as simple as possible, and in the first instance, and move forward slowly. But yeah, anytime you need anything that's on a content side, just ask me, and I will get you whatever you need. So you guys, I think, focus on, working out, the which stories you want to focus on, and then once you've worked out which are the first few stories you want to focus on, then start thinking about what technology stack you might start trialing with, and this, that, and that.
So from what I've listening to you, from what you're saying, so your MVP is basically a landing page, a charity's landing page with a link on there that they can view existing projects that you've completed, so they can get an idea of, through the showcase.
Yeah, well,
and as simple as that for your MVP. That's literally it for now, is it? For the
and maybe even that, like I don't know. That's an interesting question. Like I'd almost see this as a model for the landing page.
Yeah, yeah.
So rather than it being a big photo, that it's like, but again, that design I think is entirely up to you. I mean, the key thing is that people can. The non-profit, the charity can come and they can immediately see the value proposition. Whereas I think in Free Code Camp, from the beginning, they've two different stakeholders, and so they're there's like I mean their key message here is to the developer, and then for the the non-profit guy needs to find here, and then it kind of comes in here, and okay, some people, personally I don't hate watching videos. But then, and they've got this kind of like there, and almost I kind of wonder, I mean that's an open question. Is like what does it make sense to have on the landing page to best appeal to charity organizations? And I can put you in touch with people like Rachel, who was in last Wednesday, and you can be directly in touch with her and be showing her things, or now there's other charities and non-profits that I know, or ones that you know yourselves. And I think that the critical thing is like, for any designs or structures and things that you're doing, is showing that to people and saying, does this make sense to you? Well, just show them and not say anything and say, what is this saying to you? And they say, I have no idea whatsoever. And okay, back to the drawing board. And so whether that should be, whether it should be a list on the first page. I mean, this is just quite kind of interesting because it's got like lots of stuff and it's there's just stuff. Or should it be a leaf out of Google's book? And be this is there and then we've got stuff, and I don't know. It's all. I think that's where you can use all of your ingenuity and excitement and youth, and you've got youth on your side. I'm getting old and grey here, and gradually going out of my fire's going out of my heart. And I'll pass the fire on to you. I don't know what I'm talking about. Sorry, I should have had real coffee. Real coffee. Okay, yeah, I've had a vocabulary crash there. I'm just going to reboot my brain briefly. Yeah, what were we talking about? Yeah, did that make sense?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
Yeah. Just a question which will just help us later on. Is there currently any way for us to pull information off of the Agile Ventures website for different projects? Like, is there an API system in there already that we can use?
I don't think so, and I would say that the number of I would not worry about doing that.
Yeah.
I think we want to, like, in the first instance, keep them independent sites, and so, you know, it's sort of like, and ultimately the text that we have on here, which is trying to appeal to the developer, you know, is likely to be quite different to the text that we want to have on, you know, the charity showcase directory. So really the key thing is about providing the admin the ability to, you know, edit the content on here to, you know, make the showcase sound good, look good, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Let's look at that. That was the one on one day. Yeah, look up on one day. That's the other ones. Okay. There we go. So you guys can also start typing things in here, or just say things. Should I go away? Will that better enable your group operational process? Do you have any other questions for me right now?
I don't know if anyone else has.
Nothing.
So if we want to check in with you, like, along the way, should we just kind of send you a message and then just kind of do it impromptu?
Well, you certainly can do that through Slack. What I would very, very, very strongly recommend is that you all get into the Agile Ventures Slack, and you all get in this chat room, right? Website 2, which is kind of the code name for your project. And basically, if rather than pinging me, like, if you can just do in here, you can do like this, right? At Kantaku, yeah, and just say, hey, we need whatever you need, and do it there, yeah. And what that will mean is that if on the off chance that I'm, you know, not immediately available, you may be able to get support from other people who are involved in Agile Ventures, and will maintain that open development process. Oh, welcome to Richard. Welcome, Richard. Whee! And as I say, so we, you know, Mondays to Fridays, occasionally I run these two things. The Euro-Asia Scrum and the Atlantic Scrum. Yeah, they're basically stand-ups, and they're for any Agile Ventures projects to check in and kind of say, hey, how's it going? And the idea is that they're time boxed to 15 minutes. I'd love to see all of you guys or representatives of your team at, you know, any and all of these meetings. I mean, it's not required, right? It's not like, we have to do those things. I mean, you may want to run your own stand-ups just for the 5 of you to whatever. But this is kind of like a stand-up of stand-ups, where people on different projects come in and report what's going on, and other random bits of Agile Ventures business gets discussed and so on. But so this would be a very, you know, rather than you necessarily needing to kind of like book me, right? You know that you can find me in a hangout at these times, right? And I don't know if you noticed, like on the main site, like, you see, look, there's a countdown here. Yeah, see this? So this is telling us the time until the next stand-up. Yeah, and then, you know, when it goes live, there'll be a link to join the Hangout on the front of this site, and the links to those Hangouts get pasted into automatically, like here. So, for example, if we look here, where is it from? Yeah, this morning when I did the 8:30 a.m. Euro-Asia Scrum, yeah, when I started it from the Agile Ventures website, it automatically posted the link to the Hangouts here, right? And so everybody who needed to get into that just clicked on that. You know, there's two ways in. Either the link appears on the front of the website, or it's in the Slack. Doesn't matter. Either way, you come straight into this Hangout. It's ready to record. We're all here. Good to go. Yeah? And that's the kind of mechanism that the different Agile Ventures projects use to stay coordinated, chat with each other, do open development. Yeah? Okay, so I'm going to assume the silence means, yes, we totally understand what you're saying, and it's all groovy and funky. Yeah? Is that reasonable? Yeah? There's thumbs up in a couple of places there. Cool. Yeah. So I would say, then if I put my Makers Academy hat on, I would say that the key things that you probably want to achieve today are, one, a list of, you know, like a backlog of user stories, and also possibly even like some little sketches of like mock-ups of what a front page might look like, and you can validate them forth back with me. You could also be thinking about technologies and this, that, and the other, but yeah, the key thing is to work out the value proposition and make sure that we're all on the same page about what the value proposition is, and a simple way to start it, with just getting like 1 or 2 user stories working and then generating more user stories as we move forward.
Do we have to have some kind of like domain name thing for the Agile Ventures Slack? How do we?
For the Slack, no. Like as I think Richard has just come in there, and that's because I think I got notifications. I think you all signed up for Agile Ventures through the GitHub, right?
Yeah, I just checked. I did have an invite from you in my email, and I just clicked on it, and I've done it.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you should all have. Yeah, and then maybe like stuck in your promotions folder, or this way, or that way, or somewhere else. But you should all be able to get there. If you can't, if you have any trouble, if you have any trouble with anything, right? Feel free to like message me individually, and I'll immediately try and sort it out. Ultimately, once you're all in this room, anytime you have any kind of issue, just message me in this room, yeah, and I or somebody else will come to your aid. But I can invite you directly, and I administer all this and everything. So basically, any problem, I will sort out for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have that sidebar.
Say again, Balint?
I don't have that sidebar.
You don't have the sidebar. This one here. For your Slack.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can kind of get that by if you where's it going? If you could do in here, there's like you can like do sign into another team.
Sign another team. Okay.
And that's how you can get in there. What was I going to say? But yeah, so potentially I could see some or all of you at 3:45 today. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could check back in. And if you've got at that point a set of user stories and or mock-ups or further questions about technology stack or whatever, like between 3:45 and 4, we'll do the round the. There'll be a few other bits and pieces going on. You could but other people in the Agile Ventures community are going to be very interested that you're doing this. So if you can come into these things and occasionally be reporting about what's going on, then people will have comments and thoughts and advice and so on. But yeah, at the end of the stand-up at like 4, then we can potentially I can spend some more time with you just to make sure that you're on the right page for moving on for the next day. Yeah?
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. And Balance saying, what is the domain name? And I don't know. Okay.
I think I already said that earlier, but Richard answered my question.
Okay.
If I went to the.
Oh, are you into the domain name for the Slack and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I've got another meeting coming up, guys. I'm really excited about working with you. I know that this is like you guys you're in a small Ronin team. You've been stuck in your rooms for the last 10 weeks with these with us throwing all this crazy stuff at you, and it's like totally insane. But you're almost there. You're almost through, and it's like there is you are awesome, and then it's basically all about showing you're awesome. And it will. I'm going to put my. You should remove the screen share. But it's going to be really, really, really cool. Yeah. We can do it together, and it's going to be awesome. Yeah.
Well,
really awesome. I have no doubt, and I'm really looking forward to working with you. So yeah, I'll have fun. I'll see you in Slack. If not, I'll see you at the thing at one of the stand-ups. Ideally, at 3:45 to 4 today. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.